now let's talk about the Aryan Khan case, the drug case, where the bail has now been rejected. See, the thing is that when this bail application came in, the court was told by the NCB, the Narcotics Control Bureau, that actually he is not just accused of consuming drugs or being at that party. He was in touch with someone who may have connections with an international drug cartel, and we have WhatsApp chats on him. And thus, bail should not be given. So the court said, fine, I mean, you mentioned names of an international drug racket, and you say that you have evidence, bail rejected. The point is, in this particular matter, where everything is in the realm of may, possible, has the process itself become the punishment? No, this is not a commentary on the court, that the court denied the bail. But the point is the manner in which the investigation is going on. It almost appeared as if the NCB, the Narcotics Control Bureau, had an afterthought after the arrest that, oh, we've discovered this also. Where's the evidence? Where's the proof? Let me now kickstart this discussion. D. Banerjee, former officer of the Central Narcotics Control Bureau, is with us. We also have Abhishek Tripathi, leader of the BJP, Ashwini Dubey, political analyst and advocate of the Supreme Court, Mayank Shekhar is a film critic. In just a short moment, Mr. Majid Memon and Kanika Sadanand are also going to join us. We'll begin with you, Mr. Banerjee, first. You know, the point that was mentioned by the NCB when the bail hearing came up was not the original charge when Aryan Khan was arrested. They said that he actually has a connection with someone who may have a connection with an international drug racket. Do you feel that this was an afterthought? After having arrested him, the NCB realized, let's say this as well.
Look, I don't think it can be an afterthought. To be very frank, you just can't tell a lie to the court. If it is a lie, they will commit perjury. They have said that although he has not been charged with directly this thing, but they have got some evidence that interrogating him can lead to a bigger racket. If they have said so, they'll have to prove it and they'll get it. If they do not get it, then they'll have to answer for it. Why they have detained him for such a long time if they have not got anything big. Perhaps, I think, the investigation is on it is premature to say what they will get right now. It may take some time to complete the investigation. I think they have got more than 3 months' time to complete it. If after that they cannot, if after 90 days they cannot produce the charge sheet, then he'll be automatically bailed out. But then, of course, they'll have to say why they have detained him for such a long period. Why they have not got anything substantial.
No, while I mean, you're right to say that if there is no proof on him, then he'll automatically come out on bail. But 90 days is a long time. And also, you know, there is a certain degree of, as it is now being said, vulnerability involved here. So if he is not guilty, if he is found to be not guilty, will there be action against those officers?
Well, they'll have to, it has to be proved that they have not worked in good faith. If they are, whatever they are doing, they are doing in good faith, then no action can be taken against them.
Okay, but I don't think 90 days is that window, because had that been the case in many previous instances also, action would have followed. I don't think I have seen any action against any officer for carrying out a probe that hit a roadblock. Right, so that does not ever happen. Practically, it does not happen.
Generally,
Kanika Sadanand is now also with us. We'll try going to her in just a short moment. Kanika Sadanand, can you hear me? Let's put her on screen.
Yes, I can hear you, Sanket, and I'd like to.
Yeah,
I'd like to add to what you were saying. We saw in the Sushant Singh Rajput case what happened, and how everybody and their uncle was accused, and you know there was trafficking of drug, of being drug users or drug sellers or whatever. Nothing happened. And you asked a very pertinent question, that the arrest memo had certain sections, and then when they went for bail, when they approached for bail, the NCV added some more sections. Okay, this could be a part of the investigation which is unearthed while they are questioning. But the point is that, as you said very correctly, that if you are using these kind of sections only to make an example, then it's a very bad precedent in law, because then you are letting the agencies run helter-skelter and do what they like if they're not going to be punished for these wrong sections that they put against people. And nobody has been punished. You're absolutely right. And as Mr. Banerjee said, they will have to prove that they did it in good intention. That's very easy to say, I did it in good intention. But the person who has been accused and who has been put, whether it's for 90 days or for 1 year or whatever, behind bars, because of these added sections, so that you can invoke Section 37 of the Act, it's not fair. And you're setting a bad precedent. You're making an example, a poster boy, and ultimately this person is a privileged person. They can probably afford lawyers. What about those people who cannot afford lawyers?
Yeah.
What happens to them?
Yeah. Okay. Majid Memon, senior leader of the NCP, is also with us. Mr. Memon, is there any in law, sort of a precedent that can be looked at as far as issues of bail and jail is concerned? That if you have arrested someone on certain charges, then bail in so many days.
Now,
Is there
Sanket,
anything?
let me tell your viewers, we have an apex law, that is the Constitution of India, which is above all the statutes. There are certain stringent provisions of law to fight terror, to fight drugs, to fight other extraordinary situations. We have legislated some statutes where we have made bail a bit difficult, not impossible, but a bit difficult, because as has been said for the past 3 hours after the learned special judge's order was declared, that there is presumption of guilt. Let me tell your viewers that above all these statutes, stands Article 21 of the Constitution of India, which says no person shall be deprived of his life and liberty save and except by due process of law. And that due process of law has to be fair. So presumption of guilt is not the general rule. It is in exceptional cases. Now, in NDPS...
But Mr. Memon, do you think that this is applied differently in different cases? And I would like to call this...
Kindly, give me 1 minute
Sure.
more so that I'll explain the basics of
Yeah.
the criminal jurisprudence on bail. Bail has always been a rule without even bothering about such stringent provisions of law. If there are statutes like NDPS Act, MCOC Act, UAPA Act, TADA, POTA, detention, many other such laws where bail becomes difficult but not impossible. Now, those are exceptions. Wherever legislature has made such stringent provisions to deal with emergency situations or difficult situations, there are also safeguards to protect the innocent people from being hauled up. You see, Jogendra Kumar case 1994, Supreme Court said, arrest is not always necessary. And remember, people must understand this basic thing, that arrest is not a part of punishment. Aryan is not kept in Arthur Road jail because he has committed the crime. Aryan is in jail because he is accused of a crime which is yet to be tried. And only if he is found guilty that he will have to be punished. So, non-grant of bail must not serve as a punishment or as a hardship or as a... What is the reason for arrest? The reason for arrest is also spelt out in number of cases by Supreme Court time and again. And repeatedly, Supreme Court has said that arrest as far as possible has to be avoided. Detention, we don't have to have prisons overflowing with under-trial prisoners. Remember, Sanket, one more thing I must tell you.
No, but Mr. Memon, see, the NCB says in this case, the NCB said in this case that he could come out and then hamper with evidence.
Now, this is ridiculous. Now, do you expect that a person of this Aryan's type would hamper with evidence? Witnesses would be tempered. Witnesses have run away. NCB officers themselves are not able to lay hand on the witnesses. How do you, and from where do you get it that Aryan would do it? Do you have any material to substantiate that? Has he done it in the past?
Okay.
Does he have any criminal antecedents? So therefore,
okay, so all these things must be factored in.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let me now go to Mr. Tripathi. Mr. Tripathi, on the coup app, we asked certain questions, and I would like you to take a few of them. Geet Arora on the coup app has asked a question. Geet Arora says, do you think WhatsApp chats are enough to prove Aryan Khan guilty. We'll put that on the screen in just a short moment. Let me read it out. Geet Arora says, do you think WhatsApp chats are enough to prove him guilty? Then there is another comment by Hemrani. It's just humiliation. NCB and NIA don't have the guts to investigate on Adani Port and many other cases which are not highlighted in the media. Mr. Tripathi, how would you respond to these comments? This is also a way to look at it. That while you are eager to follow each and every process, what about the process as per law in other cases? 3,000 kilograms.
Sanket ji, first of all, I don't want to respond to these people asking on Co or any other platform, social media platform. Let's go by the merit of the case.
No, you. Okay, take that as my question.
Let me.
Will you answer me? Take that as my question. I ask you this question. My question to Mr. Tripathi is, does the NCB or the NIA not have the courage to investigate the Adani Port and many other cases which are not highlighted a lot in the media? How would you respond to this?
No. I would again say this is beyond my purview to respond to such allegations or whatever you are asking. Let's talk about today's case. Every time we discuss about Aryan Khan, I don't know why we do that, first of all, but every time we discuss about Aryan Khan and we don't discuss about so many other people who are in jail, are not getting bail, but we discuss about him. Now that we are discussing him, we always forget there is a court of law. There is a judge, there is a magistrate who is rejecting his bail on the ground of whatever evidence the lawyers, the prosecution is submitting in front of them. So why does it become a political reason? I don't understand. There are so many other people who are there in the jail. Why don't we discuss those people? There is Arman Kohli, one actor, who's there in the jail for the same reason for last more than a month. Why are we not discussing?
Political. He's asking you why are you not investigating Adani? What is it got to do?
Listen, let me finish. Let me finish. You spoke.
Is Adani a politician?
Let me finish. No, but I don't understand on what basis are we discussing Aryan Khan? Emotional basis or legal basis?
Legal.
There are so many people who
completely legal.
Because of
as far as I am concerned, I have no emotional attachment or involvement.
No.
This is purely legal.
If I get to hear that if Aryan Khan comes out of the jail, he will not tamper with the evidences and people, it is an emotional outburst. It is not illegal. Who decides that he will not do it? I am not saying he has done it. But the legal says he should not be
Majid Memon just said that criminal antecedents also have to be looked at. That is also in the purview of the law.
With the supplier.
Majid Memon, one more. Majid wants to respond. Yes, Mr. Memon.
I am sorry to say that Tripathi ji took it as an offensive question when you asked him about that port, such huge material, and why that was treated differently. He took it as an offense. But I think let us forget that. Let us talk about Aryan. Now, Mr. Tripathi, as a lawyer, I am telling you, with a vast practice of about 50 years in criminal law, let me tell you, probably maybe before you were born even. Now, I must tell you that, you see, why is a person arrested, whether it is Arman Kohli, the Aryan or a roadsider or anybody else? We are not identifying the stature of a person. We are saying accused. Any accused is arrested for the purposes of facing a trial. He is not arrested as a part of punishment. He is not arrested to humiliate him. He is not arrested to cause hardship to him. He is not arrested as a part of punishment. Please remember this, that's the basic premise. Now, Aryan, whether he is entitled to bail or not, the statute is going to decide. You are right in saying that the special judge has found him not eligible for bail according to his own assessment, according to his own judgment. We must bow down and respect the judicial order. But it is appealable. The High Court is going to hear him tomorrow again. Correct. We are only arguing that, well, whether as a viewer has asked a question, the chat alone is enough to prove that he is guilty of an offense. The answer is no. The chat alone is not enough, whether it is Aryan or anybody else. For any accused,
but he's not been proved guilty. He's not been proved guilty.
Just kindly bear with me for a minute. I am explaining to you the law. I am explaining to you the practice. It's a kind of an education for all of us. You see, this chat evidence is very vulnerable to tampering. Chat evidence can be exaggerated. Chat evidence can be manipulated. And chat evidence does not have sufficient feet to stand in the court of law when the trial takes place, when the cross-examination will be done by the defense. And therefore, the law in prudence requires some corroborative material to support what is coming out.
And as of this moment, we don't seem to be...
nothing. Exactly, we have nothing.
That does not seem to be available.
Sir, my one only
Or at least
question
even
to you,
spoken
Martin,
about.
Exactly.
With all
That's
due
right.
Okay, one
respect,
moment, Mr.
every
Tripathi, I'll
time-
come back to you.
every time
Mayank
there
Shekhar is waiting
arrest
patiently,
in
and so is
investigation, it's a
Mr.
wrong
Dubey.
arrest.
One moment, Mayank Shekhar, I want to come to you now. You know, this whole point on why should a star's kid be spared, right, just because he's special. I'm saying that why should there be, see, we in this last month, we have had a tale of two sons, one from Maharashtra and one from Uttar Pradesh, right? One son, the same process allowed him enough time. You know, there was notice number 1 outside his house, notice number 2 outside his house. So due process was followed for one son, and then eventually an arrest happened. That too when the Supreme Court stepped in. And here in this case, due process is being followed where you have whatever is being said. So the word process is a very amazing thing, Mayank Shekhar. It means different things in different cases, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I think the way you started the entire debate, right, Sanket, where you called the process itself being punishment. And I genuinely don't think if there was Kafka around, I think he would have a tough time writing a story of this nature to do with Indian bureaucracy or Indian security state. I mean, you're looking at a particular case. I'm just only talking about this case. Forget about Starson or not, right? We're talking about a raid that took place. This is Narcotics Control Board. You know, this is like a national body that looks at international national drug trade. They came back in this particular issue. They came back with 6 grams of charas. I think if they're a global body, I'm sure that every country has one. They might be looking at this. I don't know what this does to the reputation of NCB. Like they really came back with 6 grams of charas, but more than that, I think more importantly, as it turned out later, there was one person taking a selfie. He called himself a private investigator. There's another person from the ruling party who was also part of this raid, behaving like a cop. Now, they later said that they're informers. I mean, people that I've spoken to who have worked in this field tell me no informer will openly tell you they're informers. They'll be bumped off. It's a very big one. If you're really dealing with massive drug trade and drug lords, no informer tells the world, I was an informer in this particular raid. So it looked murky to begin with. Thereafter, of course, we've reached a situation which is quite similar, in fact, to the Riya Chakrabarti case that happened, last year, where this person, on the basis of WhatsApp, messages, is being accused of a larger racket, of an international racket on something that we don't know the details of that yet. But I think when it goes to High Court, which is really what happened in Riya's case too, the High Court said that this person is not involved in a larger drug trade. So, I mean, if this is the way it's going to be, in fact, it's the reverse being true. If this is the way it's going to be with a very, very popular man's son, what will happen to regular people on the street, and how do they get picked up, and how is it that they obtain bail, and where are they sent in multiple conspiracies that can happen at a very personal level too? So in fact, it's the opposite. If this can, I mean, most people on the street would think if this can happen to Shah Rukh Khan's son, just imagine
what
if
will
someone
happen
really
to
went
me.
after you,
Okay.
what will happen to you?
Or anyone else on the road. Okay, fine. Ashwini Dubey, before I come to you, Ms. Kanika Sadanand, Ashwini Dubey, sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Dubey, for so long. But the question exactly is this. The point that Mayank Shekhar is making, that will these officers of the Narcotics Control Bureau, who are building a case, and they have all the right in the world to, right? If they think something is wrong, you have strong evidence against someone, go for the jugular, right? But what happens if you are not successful, or it turns out that you did it for publicity, or you did it under some political consideration? Then
thank you, Sanket Bhai, for having me here. Sanket Bhai, there is a need to deal with the malicious and wrongful prosecution, malicious and wrongful prosecution, if instituted by any of the investigating agency of this country, and later it turns out that the person was implicated out of any political vendetta or to settle the personal score, then the authorities should be held accountable. This is one very right discussion you started. Second, there are three stages of a criminal law. One is the suspect stage, second is the accused stage, third in the convict stage. At my senior, Mr. Majid Menon rightly said that these are the special legislatures. The legislature passed by the parliament itself says that the bail is not a rule which is applied in all the cases where the jail is exception, bail is a rule. It's a general principle of a criminal law. The person should not be kept behind the bar during the trial or out of any political vendetta or when there are no offenses against him. Three things is to be looked into. When any prosecuting agency register a case under any provisions against anybody, then the courts, which are fair, impartial, independent in this country, who evaluate the evidences, find it that whether the offenses which has been invoked by the prosecuting agency are able to meet out and the ingredients which has been invoked by virtue of the prima facie evidence gathered are able to and sufficient to meet out the offense, courts normally reject the bail. The courts does not believe on the system of the prosecution in some of the cases, which we have seen in Disha Ravi's case. The court demolished the theory of toolkit. Here, the court has, so far as the WhatsApp chat is, we are talking about, the court has said, so far as the section.
Yes, you're right.
7,
this is the court's wisdom. They have agreed with what the
Indian
NCB was trying to say or submit.
Yes, Indian
then,
evidence, because we have to rightly or wrongly, when a judgment is passed, we have to respect upon. We have right to criticize the judgment, but not the judge. Here, what is happening?
No, nobody is questioning the Sessions Court, by the way. I want to make this very, very clear. As Mr. Memon also said, we are all educated enough to know that, the court in its wisdom has taken certain decisions, but Kanika Sadanand, it's not like that cannot be appealed against. You can go to the court and appeal against it. But Kanika Sadanand, the point is, what is being said, if that is not true, then
how are you going to go ahead and penalize the officers and the institutions which misuse their power, which does not happen in the country? Another thing I want to just add here, and my senior Majid Menon Saab can correct me if I'm wrong, they said that the recovery of the phone was done voluntarily. Now it's a private conversation, and it does not have to be handed over to an investigating officer at that stage. Was it really handed over voluntarily? And is this the phone WhatsApp chat is what they're basing everything on? So first of all, they were not read their rights according to me. That they were not told that you don't have to hand over anything without certain warrants or certain applications of the law. Am I right, Menon Saab? Because they said they voluntarily gave it, and I feel they intimidated them to give that, and they did not have given that. And if they did not give it,
repeatedly, Supreme Court in various decisions has come out warning people of this country who are the subject of law that policemen are not to be believed on what they say.
Okay,
therefore,
so I think that will be put to test in the High Court as well.
It would be put to the test during trial.
It will be put to test in the High Court as well.
Investigation.
This matter is going.
That's right.
And let's just hope that the process should not repeatedly become the punishment. Thank you very much, all of you all, for joining us. That's a wrap in this edition of Left, Right and Centre. News continues. Stay with us.